Hello, welcome to the ResourceX training video on scoring against results. Kicking us off, we want to talk a little bit about what results are. Results are the name that we use at ResourceX for your strategic goals or priorities that you may want to score your programs against. They are firmly stated reasons why your organization exists. These are an active litmus test. They help drive citizen trust and transparency. They really help us get to the bottom of the irreducible core services that we offer. And they can really help us quickly communicate the value of new programs and services. Results are typically, again, the reason your organization exists. They're designed to be aspirational, broadly applicable, fairly unique to your organization. Now, there are a few caveats there, which we'll get into in just a moment. And they should be somewhat open to interpretation, and they should be easily understood by your public and by your employees. Results are not short-term goals. They aren't finite. They aren't yes or no statements. They aren't going to change frequently. If they do change frequently, you're going to be discovering you have to score and rescore very frequently. They aren't universal to every organization, although kind of like in our previous slide, there's a little caveat there. They are not taglines. We've seen some communities pitch things like America's hometown. We really want you to think through some of your goals as being, how would we actually score a program against this? And they are not unique to each department. So we are not looking for strategic goals that might be specific to Parks and Rec and police and all these other things. These should be broad, universal goals that help the entire community. Now, there are two typical types of results. There are community results. These are used to score programs that serve the public. These are outward facing, and these are usually the principal reason your organization exists. Now, there's also governance results. Now, these are used to score programs that are internal or support or quote unquote overhead. Without any of these departments, community focused results and programs aren't going to be something that can be accomplished. But at the same time, if we were to score HR, IT, and finance programs against our community goals, they're going to wind up falling pretty low down the list of priorities. So we want to make sure that we're scoring them against criteria that make sense. I mentioned earlier that there are a few caveats. We frequently see these categories of results. Now, how every community defines these categories is dramatically different, and these are ordered by the most frequently that we see them. So we almost always see safety, economy, and infrastructure become scoring criteria for almost every community. We also usually see culture and recreation, with environment and thriving communities kind of pulling up the back to most frequently seen result categories. Again, these are very broad. How your community defines them, how you guys think about them might be very different. How we define safety is going to be very different in a small rural town than it might be from a bustling city that might have issues with aging infrastructure or maybe DUIs. There's a whole host of potential issues that might come up depending on your organization. Similarly, how we define infrastructure might vary wildly if we're including public transit or if infrastructure is a little more simple and maybe just securing water and sewer treatment. Typically, governance has less variance than community programs, but we almost always see categories that cover strong workforce, sustainable fiscal practices, stewardship of resources, so finances, leadership, trust, transparency, and accountability, and continuous improvement.